Good morning students, how are you all? I hope you all are fine and safe at home. Myself Shweta Mudgal, a representative of Shiv Jyoti Educational Group, Kota. Student, as you know that we have started our revision part. We have taken chapter number 1 and 2 of Civics. Now this is the turn of chapter 4 and 5. So take out your books, we will start with chapter 4. That is understanding laws, revision part. In this video, I will cover the revision and it will be really beneficial for you. So listen to me carefully. Students, there are certain points to remember. Number 1, do laws apply to all? Number 1, in ancient India, there were innumerable and overlapping laws. B, the colonial law was arbitrary. Number C, the Indian nationalists played a prominent role. I will discuss all of these 3 points in the on the blackboard. Now number 2, how do new laws come about? Okay, now I am going to clear you this topic through blackboard. First of all, understanding laws. Do you know who makes laws for us? Yes, Parliament. Makes laws. ठीक है, who makes laws? Parliament makes laws. Students, if we talk about pre-independence or post-independence, there were several differences. And post-independence. Student, there were several overlapping laws at that time. In pre-independence, there was an arbitrary rule of Britishers. They did whatever they wanted to do and also forced us to do whatever they wanted from us. Example, Rowlatt Act. Sedition Act. We can say there were a lot of discrimination. But if we talk about post-independence, there were many new laws come about, new laws formed and no discrimination. Okay, no discrimination at that time, new laws were passed. So we can say if we talk about the pre-independence, there were many overlapping laws. Each and every community were enjoying different degrees of autonomy in administrating laws. If we talk about in some cases that the same person received the punishment for a same crime may vary depending upon their castes. Lower castes may highly penalized. So we can say there was a kind of discrimination in pre-independence time. If we talk about post-independence, many new laws come about, like regarding if we talk about Hindu Succession Amendment Act. Amendment Act 2005. Amendment means bring some changes in the existing laws, that cause amendment. So we can say that colonial law was arbitrary. At that time, our nationalists played a very important role to bring equality for the Indians. They also played a role of, they got a chances to get a chance in the British court and to bring equality for the Indians. So we can say that the Indian nationalists played a prominent role in to bring the equality for the Indians. Now the point come to your mind that how do new laws come about. Okay. Now the second point is that how do new laws come about. This is a general question which come in our mind that how do new laws come about. Students, every time there is a kind of a problem which is being faced by a people. After some time when they begin to feel that this problem should overcome, so they raise their voice and appeal to the government to bring some laws. Bring some laws, new laws, or to modify the existing laws. So students, when the common people raise their voice, the government feel pressurized. Who makes a law for our parliament? Government feel pressurized, they look into the matter and try to solve it to bring out some laws. In this category, we talk about a law which was passed for the protection of the women against the domestic violence, that is known as Domestic Violence Act. Domestic Violence Act 2005. Okay, it was passed to give the protection to the women who were suffering from the domestic violence. So we can say there were numerous laws passed after independence, including Domestic Violence Act, Hindu Succession Amendment Act, and also laws regarding to control pollution and provide employment. Okay. In this form the new laws come about. Now the next points. Next points are unpopular and controversial laws. Sometimes the parliament passes a law that turn out to be a very unpopular and people might criticize. We are talking about unpopular or controversial laws. In certain cases, laws have already been passed, but after some time, it is felt that there is something which is not working in the present society. So they appeal to the government to change it, to bring some modification or to bring out some laws. Or we can say if law favors one group, and disregard another group, this may lead to controversy. I have explained it in a very clear form in my video. So I am going to explain you again what are unpopular or the controversial laws. If law favor one group and disregard another group, this may lead to a conflict, or if a law which had already been passed and the people think that there is something which would not work in the present society, so they can appeal to the government to change it, and the government had to work on it. The example of the municipal vendor is given in your book. You can read it, you will definitely understand the point. Now in India, role of the citizen does not end with elected representative. In India, we are having democracy, as you all know. Democracy means that we elect the representative who work on our behalf. We elect the MPs who form the government, but our work does not end up here only. After electing the representative, what we have to do? We have to analyze their work. Analyze their work. Keep eye on their work. On their actions. And protest whenever it is needed. Are you getting my point? Our role as a citizen does not end up just by electing our representative. It is our duty to analyze their work, to keep eye on their actions and take actions whenever it is needed. We can also protest. As in a democracy, it is a right of our citizens to appeal if their rights are violated. Now we are going to discuss internal questions. Take out your book. I will let you where you have to mark these questions. Internal questions. Question 1. Give one example of British arbitrariness during colonial period. As I have told you, during colonial period there were Britishers arbitrary. The examples given in your book including Rowlatt Act and the Sedition Act of 1870. You can mark on page number 44. Page number 44, second paragraph, printed in blue, Sedition Act of 1870. I hope you got it. Now the second question, I have explained it when I started the chapter. Which body makes laws for the country? As we know, Parliament makes laws for the country. It is given on page number 45. How do new laws come about? The first line, third paragraph, the Parliament has an important role in making laws. Clear? Now students, we are going to discuss copy questions. First of all, you have to remember these dates when Rowlatt Act come into force. Rowlatt Act came into force on 10th March 1990. What was Rowlatt Act? Remember these dates: Jallianwala Bagh, Sedition Act, Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act means imprisonment without due trial. Imprisonment without trial means Britishers could arrest the people without trial. That was known as Rowlatt Act. Okay. Question number 2. What can our law not do? As I have told you in a very beginning that there was no discrimination after independence, but if you talk about pre-independence, there were a discrimination. The law cannot discriminate between person on the basis of caste, gender, religion, etc. There should be no discrimination, as we have already read in the previous chapters. Now, question 3. What do citizens do when they disagree with the law? As I have told you that this is a right of a citizens that they can raise their voice against the law. If they think that it is not fair, then they can raise their voice. But how? They hold public meetings. By holding public meetings, write about in newspapers, report to TV channels, etc. to express their unwillingness, means they are not happy with the law. Now the next question, what is mentioned in the Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005? Students, the amendment means the law come with some changes or a modification. What was that? According to the Hindu Succession Amendment Act 2005, the sons, daughters and their mother can get an equal share of family property. This law is passed. If somebody is not getting their rights which is being mentioned in this law, they can appeal to the court. Now, as I have explained you, what was the Sedition Act? According to the Sedition Act of 1870, it was passed in 1870. Royal Act, date remember, okay. 1870, any person protesting or criticizing the British government could be arrested without due trial. If they protest actions done by the Britishers, they could be arrested without trial. That's why we can say there were a British arbitrariness by seeing these examples. Now, state two reasons why historians disapprove the claim that the British introduced the rule of law in India. Student, this question is little bit complicated. I am going to explain you with example. It was often believed that it was the colonial or the Britishers who introduced rule of law in India. What? Rule of law. Listen to me carefully. This is little bit complicated, but you will definitely get if you listen to me clearly. What was the question? That state two reasons why historians disapprove the claim that the British introduced the rule of law in India. It was often believed, but our historians disapprove this claim. How it's so? If I am going to give you an example, you yourself get it. Rule of law. What is rule of law? Rule of law means that all law apply equally to citizens. But it was not there. There was an absence of rule of law because they were arbitrary. They were forcing us to do. They were forcing us to obey their orders. So we can say that were our nationalists who bring rule of law in India. How? That our judges, the judges play a crucial role or a very important role to bring equality among the citizens of the India. So we can say that they were our nationalists who brought rule of law in India. How they disapprove? The examples given here I am going to explain you. That colonial law was arbitrary. Example, Sedition Act of 1870. By saying that, we can say that it is right that our historians disapprove the claim that the British introduced the rule of law in India. Our Indian nationalists played a prominent role in the development of legal sphere in British India. When they got a chance to raise their voice in the British court, and they play a very important role to bring equality among the citizens. I hope this is clear. Read the chapter twice and then see the video, listen it carefully, you will definitely get the chapter. Now, it is very important question and we all read about it several times. What was the Jallianwala Bagh incident about? Remember the date. It happened on 13th April 1990. On this day, the British officers General Dyer ordered firing on innocent people who had gathered to protest peacefully against the arrest of two Indian nationalists. They were protesting against the arrest of two Indian nationalists. The name of the two nationalists were Dr. Saifuddin Kitchlaw and Dr. Satyapal. So here we are talking about two nationalists, that was Dr. Saifuddin Kichler and Dr. Satyapal. So they gathered there to protest against, and General Dyer fired there and many people killed and many more were wounded, including women. Now the last question, question number 8. What role did the Indian nationalists play in establishing rule of law? As I have explained while explaining the question number 6, that rule of law means that all laws apply equally to the citizens, and I have explained you that our nationalists played a very important role. How? Indian nationalists protested and criticized the arbitrary use. First of all, they criticized the arbitrary use of authority by the British. Number 2, they begin fighting for greater equality and establishment of rule of law. They wanted to change the rule of law that formed the set of rules which they were forced to obey. Number 3, they also used the legal platform. As I have said you that Indian judges played a very prominent role in bringing equality among the citizens to defend the legal rights of Indians. Now we can say with the end of the British rule, they included several provisions in the Constitution of India, as I have talked about post-independence. In the Constitution of India, to uphold the rule of law. This is very much important point of our Constitution, that is rule of law, which means to bring equality among the citizens of the India in the independent India, as I have talked you about the post or the pre-independence both. Thus, the Indian nationalists played an important role in establishing rule of law. So, we can say that Indian nationalists have played a very important role in bringing rule of law.